Hi, my name's Matt, and I'm going to give a book review on the book called Not for Happiness, a guide to the so-called preliminary practices by Dzongsar Jamyang Kyentse. I'm not very sure how to pronounce his name, but that is an example of why I am a beginner in the Tibetan Buddhist lineage and practices, and why you should read this book if you are too. The Not for Happiness is a guide to the preliminary practices, the first practices that you embark on as a beginning Tibetan Buddhist. And the author is a really famous writer and filmmaker, and uses some really great modern examples that help practitioners, I think, connect more deeply with their practice, particularly in the West. And in true teaching style, he will not only give an overview of why we do this practice, which is, I think, so important when you engage this practice with this much depth and this much lineage behind it, but also he will go through each of the stages or parts of the preliminary practice so that you get commentary and advice and motivation and inspiration on completing each of the stages of the practice. I really appreciate how, again, accessible the language was, the tone that he uses, and the stories and the metaphors that he uses are really accessible. And the book is written in such a way that you get the deep practices if you were listening to a Tibetan Buddhist teacher, and at the same time, um, it's done in a way that is easy to follow and well organized, and I think really made for people in our position. So, embarking on a lineage like the Tibetan Buddhist practice with so many centuries, even um, of years behind it, there's so much to know. And one of the things that I think the Tibetan Buddhists do really well is introduce us to some of these really esoteric concepts right in the beginning, and that can also make it seem really hard and difficult. And so having the writings like Not for Happiness support the practice, right from the beginning, is really much needed support. And so if you are engaged in a preliminary practice right now, particularly in the Tibetan Buddhist religion, this book will talk specifically about the Lonchek Ninchik Nundro as an example text, as something to specifically to talk about, but it's useful for anyone using any Nundro to understand why they are doing each part of that practice, and the context within the greater um, wheel of the Tibetan Buddhist teachings. So I would highly recommend it, and if you are looking for support, looking for advice, definitely pick up this book, Not for Happiness, if you don't have access to a Tibetan Buddhist teacher, and even if you do, because I think it'll give you some great inspiration and a wider breadth of study. So thanks for watching. Leave some comments in the space below, and remember, Not for Happiness, a guide to the so-called preliminary practices. Thanks.